What's up dudes, my name is Title Raiden and welcome to the second episode of my channel. Today we're going to be talking about a favorite Warframe of mine, Chroma. He has a lot of really cool synergies with some abilities and weapons that I figured out, and I hope you guys really enjoy them. Again, I've taken these setups solo into Netrocells, and I've also taken them into EDA and ETA. I usually only make my builds to go into these types of endgame missions, but nothing like level 10,000 or anything like that. You're gonna see from the video, not only do I run a lot of health tanks, but I rather play with warframes and weapons that I enjoy, rather than the most overpowered weapons. A lot of loadouts that I have, I try to use different weapons that have good synergies or feed them up the warframe. And that's usually how I like to make my builds, because as long as you work on them, you're gonna be able to get into all the endgame missions that you want without much difficulty. So yeah. Before we begin anything, if you guys can please like and subscribe to the channel, that'd be very much appreciated. And yeah, let's get to the abilities. So this is going to be a quick rundown of Chroma's abilities, and that's because I'm not going to focus on the entire detail of it. There's only certain things I'm going to use from his abilities, and I'll go ahead and show you. So Chroma's passive is going to basically, all it does is basically give you an additional double jump, which is pretty cool for maneuverability, especially when you're trying to exit out of the map. I've replaced Chroma's first ability with Pyrotechnics. If you guys saw my last video with Hydroid, I talked a little about Pyrotechnics, but for you guys that didn't, we'll explain that a little bit here in this video as well. His second ability is Elemental Ward. For the purpose of this video, we're only going to be focusing on the heat portion, and all I use it to is to get me as much health as possible, and on top of that it gives you some health recovery for good sustainability. Chroma's third ability is called Vex Armor, and all it basically does when you kill an enemy with a ranged weapon or you take damage to your health, it's going to increase your weapon damage. If you take damage to your shields or kill an enemy with melee damage, it's going to increase your armor. This is the bread and butter of Chroma. It works really well with a lot of different abilities, and we'll talk a little about that later. Chroma's fourth ability is Effigy, and all it does is remove his pelt into like a massive sentry, and it kills enemies within vicinity. However, outside of regular path, going into steel path, the damage that this pelt does is very insignificant. It's not really worth it. A lot of people just use it basically to like credit farm. I use it, but it's mainly when we finish the mission. I basically use Effigy, and it's because it gives me a 20% speed increase when I remove my pelt, so it helps me get to the end of the map a lot quicker. Yeah, and yeah, these are his abilities. So I am running 4 ability strength shards, and I'm running 1 topaz shard that basically gives me 2 health on enemy killed with blast damage up to a max of 450. There's a reason why, and we'll talk about that in the build. The aura I'm running is Corrosive Projection, and I am running Prime Sure-Footed. If you don't have this, you can go ahead and run something like Preparation. That's one that I like, but the reason I'm running Prime Sure-Footed is because a weapon that I like to use with Chroma is the Kuva Ogress, and if you guys know anything about the Kuva Ogress, it has a lot of kickback, so I use Prime Sure-Footed to kind of keep me on my feet at all times. And yeah, I like the Kuva Ogress with Chroma just because when you shoot it out, it basically keeps the flame lingering on the battlefield. It almost looks like fire, and that's the theme that I like to go with this Chroma. It's basically like a flame dragon. I'm running Adaptation to give me further damage reduction. I don't run any armor mods on this, and that's because Chroma's third ability can get me it says 1300 armor, but I've seen as high as 18 or 1900, I believe. And well, it's because of my ability strength is going to go up, and I'll explain that a little bit. I'm running Narrow-Minded for as much duration as I can with Chroma's second ability. I ran Prime Continuity instead of Narrow-Minded, but that really, it makes me so I have to cast my second ability over and over again. And as you can see, I'm not running anything that has to do with energy. I usually just rely on the energy that Chroma comes with. So being able to cast it a lot less makes it more easier for me to use. Don't worry about Pyrotechnics. It, first of all, is not an ability that costs too much. So having something just like Equilibrium is going to be more than enough to sustain you. I run Archon Vitality, and that's because this is a Flame Dragon, it's a fire theme, so any heat procs that I do off of Chroma, it's going to basically double. Transient Fortitude for more ability strength and blind rage, and also Umbral Intensify. I am running Guardian Armor, and all this basically does is give all your squad mates 75 damage reduction, and this is multiplicative apart from whatever they have. And any kills that they do or you do basically reduce the timer on your not reduce the timer, but it increases the timer of your Vex armor. So as long as you're staying close to your teammates or killing enemies, you're gonna keep this up most of the time. I really don't have to cast it repeatedly. Usually I'll cast this in the beginning, and then maybe towards the middle or the end I'll let it die off when I have my max stacks on my ability strength. I'm running Arcane Blessing to give me a max of, I believe it's about 1200 health. And the reason for that, if you saw earlier, I'm running the Topaz Shard. So together with the Topaz Shard, Arcane Blessing, and Chroma's second ability, it's going to get me to roughly about 3400 health. And that is just enough for Arcane Bellicose to basically stack out at 72% ability strength. So with this setup, I already have about 450-ish ability strength. If you go ahead and run something like Materai, you're going to be closer to 500. And yeah, but to me this is more than enough. I like the setup, I like how I build it. Really good survivability, don't really struggle too much. Yeah, we'll go with the weapons. This is my Kuva Ogress, and I'm running Galvanized Chamber, Prime Firestorm so I can get a bigger area with each shot that I do. Night Watch Napalm to be able to leave my bullets damage lingering on the field. High voltage thermite rounds, and I'm running a Riven that gives me multi-shot, status chance, and toxic. I have a negative on crit chance, but I don't really do anything crit with this weapon. I'm running radiated reload and rifle aptitude. And the arcane that I'm running with is primary merciless. This has a really low reload speed, so anything that decreases my reload is always a plus for me. My secondaries is Twin Comac, and for the arcane on this one, I'm running secondary Enervate, so I do run a couple of things that give me critical damage, such as Magnetic Might and Prime Target Cracker. I'm also running Pistol Pestilence and Frostbite for viral, and Prime Heated Charge for extra heat damage. I'm running Galvanized Diffusion and Galvanized Shot. Yeah. Prime Steady Hands is amazing on this weapon. This weapon does have a huge kickback, and especially with the Riven that I have, giving me additional weapon recoil. Having this actually saves the weapon a lot. Yeah, so go ahead and try it out if you guys are interested. It's a really strong secondary, and it's recently became one of my favorites. You'll see in the gameplay how cool it looks. And this is going to be one of the bread and butter for Chroma, especially when it comes to fighting enemies. The Telos Boltos is a weapon that a lot of people liked back then, but not a lot of people talk about now. I guess for the longest time I've been seeing videos of people trying to make it work. And to me, it works great in this build, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And I'll go ahead and show you the build for it. It does have a unique trait, which we'll talk about later. We got Gemini Crossings as the Aura, Opportunities Reach, Condition Overload, Prime Fury Strike, and Vicious Frost for viral, Weeping Wounds for extra status chance. I have a Boltus Riven that gets me 121 heat and 2.7 range. I have Berserker Fury Galvanized Elementalist and Lasting Sting. Now, Galvanized Elementalist, I have it here, but honestly, if you really want to do as much damage as possible, not only with this weapon, but with Chroma, and I'll show you how a little later, you can replace Galvanized Elementalist for any type of Bane mod. And that's basically to get you the double dipping into heat damage. Yeah. I'm also running melee duplicate, and that's only to get to times 12 multiplier as fast as possible. It 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 works really well. I'm sure you guys would enjoy it, and yeah. So yeah, we'll talk about this more a little bit later, and let's go to also. I'm running Naramon specifically for Talos Boltus, but if you guys want more power strength, you could switch Naramon for Matarai, and that way you guys can get more power strength off of its sling ability. And here's the companion. I usually run Sunika Kubro. Yeah. So I'll run Savagery to knock down enemies over. Link Vitality, like I said, this is going to be primarily a health tank focused Warframe. So Link Vitality gives me, I believe, it puts me at about 4,000 extra health or something like that. Momentous Bond to basically give you bonus damage whenever you kill an Eximus. Contagious Bond to spread the damage. Unleash. With Chroma and the way I run him, a lot of the times I struggle with, especially with the Kuva Ogress, it struggles from killing Eximus right away. So having my Senika Kubrao be able to do that when I can't is very helpful. It makes the game a lot easier with this mod. I run Fetch to be able to gather any resources that are out a lot further from me. Loyal Companion, all this is for an additional damage reduction when my health falls below 30%. It gives me an additional 75 DR and is multiplicative to adaptation and the armor that I already have. Link Fiber, this, like I said, Chroma's third ability gives me about 1800% armor. So with Link Fiber, this gonna shoot me up pretty high. It makes it really hard to kill Senika Kubrao when my build is usually set up all the way. Synth Deconstruct to basically help with equilibrium with the health orbs, and also to help with the arcane that I have that basically gives me more health on pickup. Duplex Bond for the extra energy and to basically help me spread damage a little bit out. Yeah. And these are my Sunika claws. Running Assassination Posture to basically kill enemies with Overguard as fast as possible. Maul, Bite, Precision Conditioning, Burning Claw, Radon Claws, Immunity Resistance, Mecha Overdrive. You can go ahead and switch Mecha Overdrive if you want. Maybe with Hunter Synergy, but this is how I run this setup in particular. And Pull of the Week. Yeah. There we go. So this is usually how I run my setup. And like I said earlier, you do have an arcane that on health pickup, it basically increases your health. So you're going to get usually about a max of about 1900. There you go. And remember when I said whenever you activate Chroma's second ability, it's going to give you additional health, putting you at 2700. Now, if you remember from earlier, I am also running the Topaz Shard, which gives me up to an additional 450 health, which basically puts me at that 3000 threshold for Arcane Bellicose to activate all the way. Yeah. So we're going to talk a little about Pyrotechnics and the synergies that go with Pyrotechnics, especially with some of the weapons. Before that, let me go ahead and show you the damage that it does. And you can see because of Arcane Vitality, I was able to get 2 heat procs on pretty much everybody. I did about 5,000 damage or something, 5,000 proc damage. So if you guys seen my earlier video with Hydroid, I kind of explained the things that increase Pyrotechnics. But the cool thing about Chroma and his abilities, it's already built into his kit. So let me go ahead and make these enemies weaker. That way I can stack up his third ability a lot easier. So So basically what we'll do is activate his second ability, activate his third, kill these enemies. And I think that should be good enough. So we'll go ahead and make these level 165. If you recall earlier, it was about 5,000. It was about 5,000 on the heat proc, but now with the damage going up, we're at about 50,000 damage. Yeah, very strong. By itself, it does really well with Vex armor. However, we can make it stronger. Okay. So, if you recall earlier, I had a weapon called Telos Boltus, and I have heat on it, and the reason I'm running heat on it is that way any enemy that I hit with the first heat proc, it's gonna get the additional 120 heat damage that the weapon has, and that's why I gave it heat and rage to basically make it easier to at least get one heat proc on every enemy that I can. I also did talk about the faction mod that I usually equip on it, and the reason why is basically to, if you know anything about heat inherent, it basically makes it so the subsequent procs after the first one are going to do that much more damage to the enemy. So, as you can see, I still have my Vex armor up, so I'll go ahead and hit them with the heat proc, and then boom, 122,000 compared to the other ones. Yeah, so it does make it that much stronger. Again, I'm not running a faction mod on it, but if you do, that damage is going to be increased even more. Now, so basically one of the special abilities that the Telos Boltus has is on slide attack is basically going to group up enemies within a 15-meter radius. On the second slide attack, is basically going to ragdoll them. And if you watch the previous episode that we did with Hydroid, anything that counts as a ragdoll ability, such as Hydroid's Tentacle Swarm, is going to be able to proc additional heat procs off of Pyrotechnics. Now that's not the same as knockdown. There are abilities and arcanes such as Arcane Eruption that give you knockdown. However, when you proc a heat proc off of knockdown abilities, the heat proc will take priority and basically like almost glitch stand them up, and they're only going to suffer the 2 heat procs from it. So you need to have a ragdoll ability. So look, we're going to use the Telos Boltus, group together, lift. Yeah, so about 100,000 without any Vex armor or anything like that. Having a ragdoll with Pyrotechnics is so great. A lot of people didn't know about the Telos Boltus. Some people knew about the ability, but they didn't know how to quite make it work. I saw a lot of people struggling, but if you guys try with Pyrotechnics, you guys will not be disappointed, I promise. Alright, so let's go ahead and cast the 2, cast the 3. Group up, get the kills. Let me just go ahead and kill them with my secondary. Yeah. Alright. One more time. We'll go ahead and use Telos Boltus to group up. Lift. Boom. Yeah, and there wasn't any numbers at all. And I think the lifted burnt enemies in the sky is just so funny too. I don't know. It's hilarious for me. So you group them up, lift them, boom, Pyrotechnics. Yeah, I don't really know how much damage that's doing, but I think they just die too fast. I'll go ahead and show you guys a little on how it works in Moat. And again, I like Moat a lot. It gives me a lot of enemies. If you guys want me to do Netrocells, yeah, just let me know. I can do it. It's rather slow. It takes a long time. For some reason, I don't get as many enemies as I used to. And yeah, I do say that these builds are meant for EDA and ETA. However, I don't run them alone. You probably could if you really tried, but I'm not much of a sweat. I don't like to I don't like to be on the edge constantly, but I do play with teams, and whenever I play with teams a lot, um, very rarely will any of my warframes go down. So that's when I realize, okay, these are reliable warframes to play. And yeah, Chroma's one of them. So yeah, we'll go ahead and show you some gameplay, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Peace.
Hold on. I'm sending auxiliary life support. Get ready for a capsule. I delivered a life support capsule to the area. Life support on the way.
I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Before we leave, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any comments or any type of suggestions that you guys might have for future Warframe content, just let me know down in the comments. Before I leave, I didn't show you the any of the cosmetics that I have for not only Chroma but for Hydroid. So I'll go ahead and show you that right now. And it's just cosmetics that I really enjoy. So this is my original one. This is my fire one. And then this one's based more like a Chinese dragon, so I try to stick with the whole jade and the green and the yellow. Yeah, I like this one a lot. It's probably one of my favorite ones. I try to do like warframes that represent some countries. Sometimes I can do it, sometimes I can't. This is my lightning build. It's just one that I found really interesting. It was really cool to put together. I was like, oh dang. This is more like my statue. And yeah, that's it. And then if you guys want to still see my Hydroid one from last time, I know I didn't show you guys it, but I'll just go real quick through them. This is my Paladin. I really enjoy this one. Probably one of my favorite ones. And this is the original one that I had that I used to run with all the time. This one I'm still working on, so just bear with it. But yeah, that's what I got so far on that last one. But this is still my favorite one to this day. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and catch you guys next time. Peace.